All right, thank you for staying. It's Daybreak on Trust TV. Now, the February 25, 2023 National Assembly election will go down in history as the election that produced the highest number of political parties representation in the National Assembly since the beginning of the Fourth Republic in 1999. The composition of the 10th National Assembly will be in sharp contrast to what is obtainable in the outgoing 9th Senate, which comprises representatives from only 3 political parties of the All Progressives Congress, the People's Democratic Party, and the Young People's Party. The 10th National Assembly will be made up of representatives from 8 political parties. To talk about this and the forming of, I would say, selection of principal officers of the National Assembly, we have in the studio a member of the APC, Mustafa Audu, who was a member of the APC Presidential Campaign Council with us in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us on Daybreak this morning.
Good morning, Ayuba. Glad to be here. And good morning, Stella.
Yeah. Well, let's begin by asking, how tough a choice is it for the APC this time around when it comes to picking principal officers, given the fact that we now have I would say the influence of the APC sort of has reduced in the National Assembly. It doesn't have that kind of, majority
that it had previously.
Number that they have previously.
First of all, for me, I would think that it's rather easy and straightforward. As a party, we have to look at the elections, the just concluded elections, and learn immediate lessons from there. What do we see? That Nigerians felt, or a certain section of Nigerians felt, that the Muslim ticket, even though for us it wasn't about religion, was something that really mattered to them. The Southeast also feels not part of somewhat the APC project. APC has not kind of carried them along. So if I were the leadership of the National Assembly, what I would do is look at this. Because if you look at, there was complaint about Muslim. So if you do Muslim, I think that would be even compounding the problem. If you don't take the Southeast along, or the South basically, along, especially the South I think is a problem. So for me, I would say, I would look at the circumstances that we're facing. I would look at, because if we as a party don't listen and don't perform this next 4 years, I think Nigerians have given us one last chance. So if the next 4 years we don't perform and address some of these issues, then I think just like PDP, we will go into extinction. So it's critical now. I honestly believe that we have the right leadership. I've supported my party wholeheartedly because only these 2 candidates, which is His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and His Excellency Kashim Shettima, had the power, the ability to deliver the way we've delivered, simply because they have the pedigree to move Nigeria to where Nigeria needs to be. So I think the National Assembly should take a cue from this as well, and our leaders should take a cue and look at the Nigerian issue that this election has sprung up and try and address these issues, even if it's face value, before we can get down to the real business of governance. Because in the next 4 years, if young people are not carried along, if the faces that are the ministers, the appointees are all older faces, if if our leaders don't take the religious aspect into consideration, if we don't take certain things into consideration, I think we would drive ourselves into oblivion.
All right, Mustafa, from what you said, you admitted that the APC at the moment has a baggage.
Yes.
You admitted
Absolutely.
that, which will inform or influence its choice of leadership of the National Assembly.
True.
But 2 days ago, the president-elect said that he had no preferred candidate. Is that the way to go?
Absolutely, because it's politics. See the way I have spoken, right? I have spoken simply because I'm a young person and I believe that this is the direction that our country should go. Regardless of what to say, what not to say. But as a leader, sometimes you have to be more political. If he says, I favor the South, you've immediately disenfranchised the North. If he says, I favor the North, he's immediately disenfranchised the South. If he says Northeast or Northwest, everybody would immediately think, oh, who are the candidates from there? He prefers them. So he has to be political. If you look at President Muhammadu Buhari, when he came in, he said, I belong to everybody and I belong to no one. You can't do that because you're holding the #1 political seat
but Mustafa,
in Africa.
You do remember that the fact that the president did not show his interest or did not say who he preferred or the zone led to what happened in 2015 when, while inauguration was going on, there was a letter saying that the president wanted to meet with the senators-elect, and you saw what happened, where we now had a Senate president from the ruling party and a deputy Senate president from another party. So don't you think that it's important for the president-elect to say, oh, well, this zone will get it, or,
You're right to a certain extent that the president-elect should start to narrow it down. But I don't think it's a public conversation. I think it should be done privately. I think it should be done through consultation. I think that the leaders should come together, especially the party. The party has not been, has not had its best performance. I'm being honest here. We've not performed so great. Nigerians know this. So if we come out and lie that we're the best, we've done so well, and we point maybe 1 or 2 projects that couldn't be done during the PDP time and we did it, I don't think that's good enough. I don't think that is a high scorecard. We can do better. Consultation is very important. The party hasn't been extremely consultative previously, and maybe because Mr. President said he wasn't political. If you're not political, and power doesn't like vacuum, power will never allow for vacuum. So if you're not using that power, someone else is going to use that power. So basically, Mr. President or the president-elect now should, through consultation, through negotiations, through looking at the results of the elections, the just concluded elections, should make informed decisions, as well as the party leadership, as well as, and the most important is the senators. Because that decision, regardless of what the party says or the president-elect says, on June 13th, I believe, the senators will all sit down in the House. As long as they form quorum, they will elect a new Senate president. So our leaders...
It's actually June 8th. Also.
June 8th? Okay, June 8th. Please forgive me for that. Yeah. So June 8th. So on that day, the senators should make the decision after due consultation, after making sure that they look at the results. The results are saying something, So give young people in the Senate good responsibility.
Do you think that all of those considerations would be made? And then if those were made, don't you think that it will put some other regions, at a disadvantage, sort of? So for instance, what I'm trying to say is, if you look at the northwestern part of the country, it could be argued that your candidate got majority of his votes from the northwestern part of the country. And, right now as it is, there is no representation from that region, from that part of the country, from the structure that we have so far. The vice president is from the northeast. The president himself, the president-elect himself, is from the southwest and all that. The northwest, what then happens?
Again, like I said, due consultation is important, right? Reward system is very important. If you look at it, I'm from the North Central. The North Central gave the APC the most states in Nigeria, tallied with the Southwest. So if you look at it, North Central should be rewarded. But you have to look at it on the grander scale. You have to look at it, okay, where didn't we perform first? Where did we do wrong first? Those are the areas that you should look at tackling. Then once you tackle those ones, areas like North Central, if you're given, say, maybe one position to the Southeast that is higher because the Southeast don't feel carried along, give maybe 3, 4, 5 positions to the North Central to show that we appreciate the effort of the North Central. Likewise, the Northwest, to show that the Northwest, we appreciate the numbers. I believe we won only 2 states in the Northwest and 1 state in the Northeast, right? So that also should be reflected. Give a position, a good position, or a few positions to match, but through due consultation.
So Mustafa, are you saying that initially what I thought I heard from you was the areas where you didn't do well, you look at bringing those people on board and making them feel that they belong.
Yes.
So that will mean that you're not going to say, because these people gave me more votes, I'm going to reward them.
No,
that's not what the party will do.
No, what I'm trying to say is that, right, the people who gave you more votes, give them more positions, right? The people who didn't give you as many votes, give them 1 or 2 positions that are very high. That shows that you do value them. Do you understand? Come more on board. We're not going to reward, a zone that didn't vote for us. That doesn't make sense, because how about all the people that work for you?
Yes,
give them a position that you can carry them along.
If I understand what you're trying to say, you're trying to talk about having a kind of a united kind of a structure. And to be specific, I assume you are talking about the southeastern part of the country.
Yes.
To perhaps have the highest office in the Senate, maybe the Senate President and the rest of them. That's what I assume. Just by way of trying to say, oh, you matter, you are important, in the political arrangements and the structure and the end of that. But some would say, why does that matter now? I mean, yeah, from the word go, it wasn't it wasn't something that was considered by the APC, according to some arguments.
No, I don't think so. We had senators from the APC, we had House of Reps, we still have governors from the APC in the Southeast. But you can see that the Southeast doesn't feel part of the APC project. We need everybody to understand that, yes, we've made mistakes. Yes, we are not perfect. Yes, we've had teething issues, coming in. But this new set of leadership has what it takes to deliver a booming economy, to deliver booming infrastructure. We have a national infrastructure plan, just like Eisenhower did in the US, that built all the infrastructure connecting the US today, all the highways, the I-90s, everything was built by one president. This president is coming with a national infrastructure plan to build brand new highways connecting the entire Nigeria. This is a Nigerian project. You cannot afford, because that's why I use North Central. Kogi, for example, we delivered in Kogi. In my polling unit, I delivered in my polling unit. But I know that it's not just about me. I know that in order for us to have a complete Nigerian spread, pan-Nigeria, the Nigeria that we want, even those that don't vote for you, show them that they are part of the project. Not that because you didn't vote for me, 0 for you. Guess what will happen the next time? They'll still not vote for you. And any other person that is disenfranchised from your government would join that group.
Isn't it why we find ourselves in the mess that we are in now, in Nigeria? The winner takes it all. Usually, that has been the practice, all along. So why should anybody expect that the APC would do any differently? I mean, what you are saying now might be your conviction, might be what you think should be the ideal situation, right? But we haven't seen that in the past,
but we've seen
from
that
their political arrangements.
We've seen that with these 2 leaders. I believe 100% in Asiwaju and Kashim Shettima. Both of them have shown, their track record shows, the first thing the president-elect did was stretch an olive branch to Atiku of the PDP, to Peter Obi of the Labour Party, and to Kwankwaso of the NNPP. The Nigerian project requires all of us. It does not, APC cannot do it by itself. The people in APC are not up to 200 million. You require 200 million Nigerians to re-engineer their thinking,
Mustafa,
to re-engineer their economy, to move the country forward.
I hear you. I hear you say that the president-elect and his vice will want to bring the people on board. But then I'm thinking about the members of the APC. I do remember that following the primaries of the APC, there were lots of there were grievances by members of the party who felt they didn't get what they should have gotten, and some of them were aggrieved. They were angry at the party. Absolutely. Now we still have that. That problem is still there.
Yes, we do.
So how is there a mechanism in place to ensure that while the president-elect and his vice may be thinking of bringing people on board, the Nigerians on board, the people in the party will still feel entitled? Oh, I should get this.
I'll give you a typical example. When I was at the victory speech, the celebration that we had when the president-elect was declared the winner, and what he spoke about there was the Zamfara example. In Zamfara, when we had a caretaker committee, the caretaker committee brought in a PDP governor to the APC, then disenfranchised those in the APC. There was huge issues in Zamfara, publicized all over the place. But yet, you have seen that the group, Senator-elect now, Abdul Aziz Yari's group, and Mutawalli's group, His Excellency Mutawalli's group, have all put their swords down and are all working hand in hand. That is an example of His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu's intervention in Zamfara. That is just a small example. I was at the primaries. That was a free and fair primaries. Every single delegate went by themselves, casted their vote, placed it in their box, and those votes were counted. Now, there's nothing you can do if somebody feels I should have won.
I'm talking about the presidential primaries.
The presidential primaries.
No, but then you do know that there were grievances from the governorship primaries, the reps, the primaries,
I'm talking, you see, for leadership, the country takes the direction of the leader. If the leader is strict, if the leader is just, or everybody will adjust. If the leader is lackadaisical, everybody will take advantage of power, because power does not allow for vacuum. A lot of the people that felt that their candidate should not or should have emerged and were disenfranchised, some of them were in the presidency. And Mr. President doesn't really, Mr. President, when he gives you something to do, he leaves you to do the job. He leaves you to, because he believes that, you know, between you and God, you should be able to do the right thing. But unfortunately, some Nigerians walk hand in hand with the devil. So if you allow those kind of people, you would have what just happened, where we canceled an entire currency to stop members of our own party from winning an election. We all know that that's what happened. So if you allow vacuum, you would have people with nefarious thoughts, people who don't feel that they should, you know, allow others who have genuinely won their election to emerge. So that has what has happened. But I believe that our new president, the president-elect, is more skilled, understands, is more of a politician than Mr. President. That is fact. Understands the need to bring everybody out. This project, without bringing people along, those aggrieved and those outside, we're not going to succeed.
All right, well, let's not forget that the results of the election is still being contested. Yes. And whether or not the olive branch you talked about extended by the president-elect will be accepted by those who feel aggrieved by the whole process and the rest of them. But if they, you know, disagree to take the olive branch, how would governance be?
First of all, there's a genuine mechanism in place for those who feel aggrieved. You have the tribunal, you have the appeal, you have the Supreme Court. We all know from, or we perceive from the body language of those who feel aggrieved, that they will pursue their, you know, grievances to the very end, which is fine. We have no issues about that. But the business of governance must continue. So when an olive branch is stretched to you, if you don't take it, that position will be given to someone else, because it must be occupied, and occupied by the right people, in order for the job of building a better Nigeria to take place. So what we are encouraging those, especially young people, I believe that this government will be the best government for young people. There would be a lot of people that will be brought on board. Young people did not feel part of the APC. I'm a young person in the APC, and many people have asked me, what are you doing here? Why don't you come with other young people? But I tell them the same thing. We cannot all be on the outside. You cannot sweep the house from the outside. You must be inside. You must work. Some people must remain in the PDP.
Right.
Some people must remain in Labour. Some of us must be in APC to make sure that the problems, the issues facing Nigeria, the issues facing you, these are young faces here.
All right.
We know the struggle and the challenges
Mustafa,
in this country.
talking about young people, bringing them aboard and all of that, and talking about the leadership of the National Assembly, the Senate, for instance, is the APC considering retaining the ranking formula? Because, I mean, if you're talking of ranking, the young people may not necessarily be part of it.
If you look at it, you just mentioned a scenario where a brand new senator came in and became Senate president. So there has been precedents before that newbies would come in and have top positions. So it is possible to balance this. There are so many committees. There are so many committees in the Senate and in the House of Representatives that are very, very good committees. It shows that you value someone if you give them this committee. So what I am suggesting to the Senate, who are our leaders, the senators elect, is that don't just use that formula alone. That it's a very good formula, because if you've been there twice or three times and someone is just coming in, you feel, hey, I've been here for a while, I know the ropes, I'd do a better job. Can be true in most circumstances, but you have situations where people come in for the first time, and because they bring new energy, new blood, new ideas, new skills into the foray, they perform outstandingly well.
All right, so quickly, let's talk about the governorship in a few minutes, a minute or two.
All right.
From going by the outcome of the presidential election, in many states, it seems that there's a massive rejection of the APC. What do you see happening in the governorship election?
To be honest, I think we will lose a couple of states, just a few. I don't think we will lose.
Is it the same states you lost during the presidential?
Maybe a few of them, but not all of them. The states we lost in the presidential election had many dynamics, except maybe we don't want to be honest with ourselves or straightforward. But if you look at the three main groups of people that were, say, maybe obedience, let's take the new player into the game. First of all, you had, in no particular order, you had a lot of young people, the NSAS, people, a lot of people who don't feel, hey, these two parties know that we are the heartbeat of Nigeria. You had that group. You had Southeast, who felt, hey, we've not been part of the APC, and now PDP are giving us another northern candidate, so no way, we don't want. You had that group, and then you had northern Christians who felt, hey, nobody is looking at us, and we are part of this project. When you look at the north, I believe we've had this conversation here previously. Northern Christians didn't feel that, APC was saying that we could, or they could give us what we wanted. But that was never the case.
Mustafa, you painted three scenarios. Isn't there a group of people that voted based on performance?
Yeah, I'm saying majority. You have the off ones that just felt, hey, APC PDP is not for me. I'd rather even do that. And then there were those in Kano who felt, hey, our leader is Kwankwaso, I would give him our vote. So you have those dynamics. But these were the three major components of the obedience.
Right.
So now these dynamics have changed in the states. So in these states, some of these governors will be returned, while some will not be returned.
All right, thank you so much for your honest view, actually, honest opinion, being a member of the APC and still saying this. Well, thank you for joining us on Daybreak and sharing your perspectives with us. We appreciate it. Well, that's our show for today. In case you've missed, you can always catch us across all social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ilya. Let's do this again tomorrow.
Thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Stella Yaji. For now, do have a very pleasant day.